Welcome to Dry Arabia and this Age of Empires forecasted game with 3D cats spawning in the south corner of the map in red as the French. His opponent today will be none other than Vortex spawning in the north in blue as the Mongols. Welcome ladies and gentlemen to Dry Arabia and this Age of Empires forecasted game where we see a fantastic civilization matchup. Well, one of the classics, especially since the beginning of Age of Empires 4, two very popular civilizations. Many changes have happened since the beginning of the game. Now, we've had a long road with Age of Empires 4. We've had a lot of changes, a lot of patches, new updates coming in, and, you know, things not necessarily changing quick enough at times. But the thing is, there's one thing about this game, and that it's a great game. It's asymmetrical, the civilizations, they've all got little bits of different things about them that can sometimes infuriate, sometimes it's something that they love about the game. Love it or hate it, definitely people have strong feelings about the game. I know I've been away for a little while. I think I needed that little bit of a recharge. Again, I don't know whether I'm going to be super enjoying the games, but let's give it a try because, you know, Age of Empires 4, since it came out, it has been a fantastic game. It had lots of problems, but obviously it's continued to develop. And here we are now with a classic matchup, the French versus the Mongols. I'm certainly looking forward to trying to enjoy Age of Empires 4 a little bit more than, once was a couple of weeks ago. I think a lot of people have gone through a lot of sort of, I guess, burnout. A lot of content creators have gone through a lot of burnout. Maybe not achieving what they expected to, or not having things develop in the game at the pace that they wanted to. But I'm hoping to stick around because I know that a lot of people do generally enjoy watching casted games, and I've enjoyed actually casting games. I think there's been a lot of development. If you guys have been around at the beginning of the channel, right at the beginning, you know, my casted games back then were a little bit sketchy. I think they're a lot better now. Speaking of sketchy, I'm not sure if he actually got the bounty there. He just managed to maybe hit that. It doesn't necessarily look like. I'm not sure actually. I didn't see the resources. I might have to watch that one back. But hitting the mining camp for the Mongols means that if it's deleted afterwards, you still get the bounty, the raiding bounty. The bonus for the Mongols is that, you know, if you get a building that's on fire or it's deleted afterwards, they get a bit of resources for that. And we can see that classic Mongols outpost rush coming in for Vortex with the early barracks, of course. 2 spearmen on the field already. Does deny the gold income temporarily, but the good thing for 3D Cat is he does have the gold to get up to the feudal age, and he's going to go to the feudal age with the School of Cavalry. Going to be able to not afford any knights, I'm afraid. Doesn't have the gold income for it, and that's something that the Mongols have always done very well, denying gold, especially against the French. In many ways, the French really struggle against the Mongols because of this reason, especially now with the new unit, the Keshik. Wonder whether that will make appearance in this match. And I wonder whether this woodline is going to be under pressure very soon, because that outpost will be going up unless there's an archery range drop down quickly. And 3D Cat's doing just that with 4 villagers, so he's going to want to get an archer there to try and deny, or at least delay the outpost going up as much as possible and try and stop the creeping outposts. That could become a problem. Early pastures for the Mongols. And Vortex. It's going to be the silver tree. So the Mongols do really well with trade often. Looks like Vortex might want to take advantage of that. The thing is, it's actually kind of difficult against the French because, of course, if the French do push this back, get rid of the outpost, get access to gold again, then knights on the field obviously has a lot of mobility. I mean, the French, even at this point, could transition to horsemen and it can do a very decent job. It's going to go gold on the west side in any case and be able to afford some knights. And so going trade against the French is often very difficult, but if there's one civilization that can do it pretty well, it's probably the Mongols. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this game pans out. Now, what I'd love to hear from you guys, I know that a lot of our content creators for Age of Empires 4 have kind of either left or are slowing things down. Let me know how you feel about that. I mean, it's a little bit sad, obviously, to see. There are many reasons for it, and to be honest with you, if people don't want to make content, Age of Empires 4, it's, you know, it is what it is. If they're not enjoying the game, they don't even need to give it a reason, to be fair, in my book. But, you know, if people leaving, obviously, a bit of a thing is kind of a bit of a concern for the state of the game. I think the game can still revive itself, can still do decently well, continue to develop. You know, it's probably not going to happen. I would be surprised, especially with the recent layoffs that Relic have had. But, you know, if we had had another content drop, like another 2 civilizations, another DLC, maybe at Gamescom, could be an announcement, and that would be pretty incredible. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I think at Gamescom, to be fair, it's going to be more of a Maybe even an Xbox reveal, like a console version of Age of Empires 4. Could be possible. Age of Empires 2 had something very similar very recently, so I suspect something like that may be coming, maybe. Who knows? It's all theory crafting. Who knows, really? I think it's more about hope, to be fair. As we do see the eagle, the falcon there for the Mongols, just keeping an eye on how many villages on gold and staying on the deer. So this is something that the French really do rely on. Getting the food access through the pocket economy is the deer pack there. The Mongols going to look to move that silver tree, set up some trade. Does have a couple of Keshiks involved now, so we do see that new unit for Age of Empires 4. Certainly wasn't one of the units for the Mongols on release of the game, but it's there now. And we shall see if they are able to make an impact. That outpost still being a bit annoying. 5 spearmen garrison inside, and it does make it difficult actually for this to be cleared up, because once you start to try and engage with this, the spearmen will just pop out and try and be a bit aggressive. Shifting the economy, 3D Cat's doing a nice job of that actually. You know, the Mongols outpost rush can be very difficult to manage. Obviously depending on your skill levels, and 3D Cat obviously expressing his skill levels, being able to move the base a little bit northwards. The good thing for him is he did have this gold, and he does have the army there to protect this economy. And he did have a deer pack as well, so it's quite a decent spawn, all things considered. As we say that, the Keshiks are involved, and there's no spearmen here. That's a bit of a concern for the French. Now, this is an interesting dynamic for this matchup, because before Keshiks were a thing, certainly there were horsemen, and the knights used to do good work against those, but with the Keshiks involved, you know, the French might be a little bit more inclined to go for spearmen, adding a couple of spearmen there at times, but you know, it's not something they generally want to do. They want to stick with the knights and the archers and dictate the terms of the fights. Speaking of dictating the terms of the fight, that knight needs to back off. Does keep a couple of villagers there idled, which is a nice touch. We'll just limit the amount of gold income and the Keshik production ever so slightly. 2 more hardened spearmen do pop out. And that's a nice bit of raiding bounty there for Vortex. Middle of the map, Keshik and Khan kept close together. That's something to bear in mind as well. The Keshiks, you know, just like the knights, they don't have a huge amount of vision. But when you add in the Khan, it's actually very, very good. So a lot of vision coming in there, of course. But if you compare it to the knight, well, we can't really see now because the knight's in the vision of other things. But the knight have really poor vision. So keeping a scout there, a really nice touch there by Vortex. Something that, of course, that we commonly see being done. So it's an interesting concept, because with the Mongols change with the Keshik now, often it used to be an outpost rush into fast castle. But they have options in feudal age now, the Mongols, and we've seen that option being expressed with the Keshik. So obviously we'll delay the castle age, but that's not really the plan anymore. It's going to be continuing with the feudal age aggression that the Mongols now kind of have a better job at doing. So do start to see some upgrades coming in. Nice bit of upgrades for 3D Cat actually. It's got wheelbarrow, horticulture, double broadaxe, the gold mining upgrade as well. It's looking nice on that front. Nice bit of economy. Especially when you consider that the town centre should be working fast. It doesn't actually have as many villagers. I think it may have lost a couple. We'll actually just see... No, he just lost 1 villager, so maybe had a bit of idle time. I mean, he must have had a lot of idle time, to be fair, because, you know, the French TC should be running faster. In any case, bit of army building up for both players. Actually, I suspect that it's because of the trade, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. These traders will be boosting up the number at the top. The eco. So interestingly enough, despite the French having a faster working town centre, the Mongols with the trade are actually operating with a slight advantage in terms of economy, 40 villagers to 37. More harassment there with the Keshik. Will be getting good value, pushes the villagers off of gold, and this outpost has done a lot of damage because it's denied that primary gold vein, and now it's going to deny the second with the army. Looks like 3D Cat's going to be aggressive himself. Does lose another villager, second of the game. Does have his army forward and out of position. It's something that the French have had to contend with. If you play French in Age of Empires 4, let me know how you feel this matchup has gone, because the French used to be the civilization dictating terms. You know, tempo aggression, they used to be the one that being aggressive, but now they're kind of being pegged back a little bit. It was a terrible fight though. Vortex will not want to engage that. He does back away. Knights though for 3D Cat tried to dive in, didn't get all that much value. No villagers killed for the French today. But yeah, denying this gold, pretty huge. 4,000 gold there. Be interesting to see if, you know, Vortex tries to get a sneaky villager maybe, just to get another outpost, just to solidify that position a little bit more. No, it's probably not on the priority, because this is the gold that he wants to deny. 30 military to 28 in favour of Vortex, but economy is going to be looking good for Vortex. Trade, Mongols trade is really, really nice. Now, what's interesting is that the trade has received a bit of a nerf in recent patches, but it's a little bit more viable for the Mongols because of the fact they've got Keshiks. I think it's a really big change, that unit itself, in terms of mobility and strength, because they've got the outposts, they've got a feudal age presence now with the Keshik. And that mobility, that map control that gathers, enables the trade to get online, and it has gotten online already, and it's doing pretty good work, because we do see the outpost now going down. Surprised not to see the spearmen pop out, just to get a couple of hits on the knights. But he won't make it out. Should be able to pick off one knight if he's macroing it well. Just does pick off one knight, which is very, very nice, because of course the French Royal Knights do have access to chivalry that they could heal up. Knights doesn't have that tech in just yet. It's actually quite expensive at the moment. Actually, no, I think they may have reduced the cost. It's 100 wood, 200 gold. Pretty cheap, actually, when you consider. Knight's cost is kind of, only about 60 resources less than that. Chivalry is a very strong tech, actually, considering the cost. Heading into almost the 13th minute of the game. Fascinating opening. Some things that we are very reminiscent of. Some things that we are very nostalgic about in terms of this matchup, the French versus the Mongols. Some things are new, though. The Keshik for sure. And trade, whilst it's not what it used to be, still very strong. 33 gold, 3 food, and 3 wood. What's quite nice about the trading now as well, once before, it used to be the case that you had to actually make a full journey back, like from the initial market to the neutral market and then back, and then it deposits gold. But now it actually deposits gold each journey. So if you do lose a trader or two, it's much less of an impact. Outpost there for 3D Cat. Nice positioning. Keeps the villagers safe for now, at least on the deer pack. Is able to take advantage of the pocket economy still here for the French. So that's actually quite key because they really rely on that food on the map. The farming transition be notoriously hard for the French, especially considering the food requirements needed for their French Royal Knights. But with Vortex economy now ticking along very nicely, 59 economy to 47, that's something that 3D Cat will be conscious of. I mean, he might not even know about it. I don't think he's scouted at all. It seems as though 3D Cat is not aware of this at all, their Mongols trade. That's a concern because he doesn't know he's behind. And the reason why that's so important is because, of course, with the counter system in terms of units, there's also a counter unit in terms of strategies. Of course, if your opponent's being greedy, then you need to be aggressive, unless you feel you can outgreed them. Now, the French aren't too bad at being being very strong in the economy, but the trouble is, against trade, it's very difficult. Whilst the TC does run faster, he's losing villagers as well. He's had 7 worker damages. He's got 7 villagers here, 3D Cat, so he's very far behind on worker count. And that probably should be enough to let him know. And again, this is so strong for the Mongols. Raiding bounty coming in just by getting the buildings on fire. The walls aren't up. He's invested a lot of wood into that as well. And the concern about having partially filled walls, whilst it does limit and narrow the angle of attack, if you don't keep your opponent out completely, it's a bit hazardous. Like, he's invested a lot of this wood here on the west side, but Vortex just coming in from the east, picks off some more villagers, 9 worker damage. Spearmen and archers, the choice there for Mongols, and does have a couple of Keshiks at one point. I'm not sure exactly where they are. They're raiding. That's where they are, with a different angle of attack. Having to back off just for now. I think Vortex will do well to back off because there's a large army there for 3D Cat, and they're all together. And the Mongols doing what they do best, keeping an eye on where the free food sources are on the map. Looks like Mongols might look to sandwich this though. Keshiks from the south, army from the north. Could be a nice pincer action here. Good thing for the Keshik, they do have the mobility, so he can still back away from this fight if he wants to. Looks like he might have to. He's getting cornered though a little bit. I like what 3D Cat's doing. Keeping a couple of spearmen and the archers. All the archers are kind of caught off though. The knights need to be there. It's not actually a bad, decent first start to the fight for Vortex. He's going to back off though with the movement speed. And he gets away. Does lose a Keshik or two. But all things considered, could be worse. Now, it did actually just seem like Vortex lost a unit. A villager. Not sure where that was. In any case, doesn't matter too much because he's very much ahead. And we can just see 3D Cat's knight. The vision on that is so bad. You can see they're literally riding against each other. Right close to each other. It just doesn't see it. And that's the thing about using knights for scouting information. They're just so poor with their vision. It's really quite astounding actually when you look at it. In any case, with Vortex now to the Castle Age, that is a huge power spike. I wonder whether he went with the Step Redoubt. Probably not, considering he's getting trade gold. So I'd be expecting to see the Cruelty. Not sure exactly where it is though. There it is, packed up and ready to go. Landmark, which when it's set up, the nearby units in the aura heal by 1 health per second. I'm also getting a 20% damage, which is actually probably the bigger one of the two. In the quick fights as we do see now happening. I think this could be the crunch fight actually. And I think with the Cruelty there, that's something that the French will be fearful of. I'm going to snipe a couple of spearmen there for the French on the retreat. But I think 3D Cat appreciates his behind. And I think really he has to press because he's an age behind, right? If these are veteran Keshiks now, it looks like it's going to be over for 3D Cat. The upgrades are in. Veteran archers as well, yeah. It's looking curtains here, fighting underneath the Cruelty. 3D Cat doesn't really have much more of an option. But with everything changing on this matchup, it looks like Mongols are in a very strong spot. And there we are, it's displayed there. Vortex shows us exactly just how strong the Mongols are right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this castle game, and hope to see you guys on the next one.